new tools that are being used within practice. Like, what's your experience of what people tend to charge for an assessment?
So here in Australia, which may be a little bit different, but I tend to feel like healthcare is healthcare. Around the world, we all kind of allocate a certain amount of time for looking after clients, and we charge accordingly. But over here in Australia, typically an assessment session could be anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes. And I think one of the beauties of AXIT is that it does really allow for practitioners to perform just those pure assessment sessions. Because unfortunately, probably assessment has been the type of thing that's either been lumped in, with when we're kind of managing people while they're in pain on the, and the maybe treating them in the treatment room, that type of thing, or as part of the rehab journey, maybe we do a little bit of assessment here or there. By actually having the right equipment, you can provide a really high value assessment service that I think can then have its own, its own time. And certainly we find our users like to do that. So that, as I said, anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes. And over here, that would be anywhere from 100 to Australian dollars. So 100 to 200 Australian dollars. So 200 Australian dollars being almost 100 pounds sterling or so. So that would be kind of the typical use case in that. And within that session, maybe it's anywhere from, it might be 10 to 15 assessments, depending on how you're going. I'd usually allocate a little bit of time at the end of that session, just to debrief around the results and things like that. And then, of course, then the software makes it really easy to generate a report that you can either send to the client via their email, or you can print that out, give it to them as a take home as part of that. So once again, kind of elevating that level of service.
Yeah, and then one of the things that we see here is that because there's been certainly a very NHS-centric mindset, as well, I would say, is that the clinicians, when they've got to sell, in inverted commas, they've got to sell on things. Like, what's your experience of them being able to do these packages or charge more, or whatever it may be when you're introducing something?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what you're highlighting there, Andy, is probably a similar experience that you get here in Australia. Is that often, and it's probably for newer graduate kind of physios or people who are just getting into the profession in particular, but I mean, we see it across the board, is that there is there are self-limiting beliefs, I think, when it comes to what is the value of the service that you provide as a practitioner. I think they've done research where they've, asked the practitioners, what they would be willing to charge, and the patients kind of what they would be willing to pay for services and things like that. And the discrepancy is largely in favour of the patients or the clients being willing to pay far more, maybe up to 3 times as much than what the practitioners probably thought they should be able to charge for their services. So there is that gap there in that respect. And so I think, once again, if you have the tools and the technology, particularly if you've invested into these tools and technology to provide this high level of service, you should feel confident in the fact that you are providing huge amounts of value. Like, I mean, the beauty with some of these tools as well is, like, all of a sudden, you're providing services that can't be replaced by a Google search or something like that. I can't just go and Google search, like, what are my strength results, or what's my reactive strength index for my jumping kind of height and things like that, right? Where for some clients, they're probably thinking, well, I could probably just Google search, what are the top 5 exercises for my back pain, or something like that. So you're providing a bespoke, high value service for that client that is going to get them better results, probably faster than if you weren't there. And likely, actually, that's going to save them a lot of money in the long run. I mean, they say, like, it's like, if you Yeah, I think that I'm going to butcher the line or so, or something like that. But it's, if you think investing in your health is expensive, like try paying for disease or something along those lines. So
Yeah.
it's a investment that's going to give great results. It's going to save everyone money, and it's going to help generate better outcomes.
Yeah. No, fully agree. I think there is definitely a limiting belief in terms of what people should pay or what you should charge for things. So yeah, no, it's interesting. But yeah, thank you for sharing that insight.